How do people access support or help around ADHD when they can't afford private assessments or therapy?
Well, there is a public system, but
Yes.
there's problems with that we talked a wee bit about before.
Yeah.
Long wait lists and fairly high threshold. The NGO sector have some quite useful things, not usually around ADHD itself, but usually around associated conditions. So, in Christchurch, there's Empowering Youth, which helps people with emotional regulation and anger management things, and they're really helpful. But some of the NGOs have mentors or other people that can be helpful, sometimes some counselling. So I don't know how it is in other parts of New Zealand, but we have Right Service, Right Time, where you can refer to a kind of group of NGOs and then they can decide which NGO might be a good fit for you. But sometimes it can take a couple of tries at that to find someone who might be helpful. Support groups. I don't know if are you involved in any support group
Many
things?
years ago, through Whakatata House and some of the parent support groups and things.
Yeah.
And then of course, the typical Facebook groups and things like that.
Yeah.
For ADHD parents.
Informal online sort of. Yeah. They're helpful?
I guess they can be, but they can't be, because a lot of the focus sometimes for parents, and I mean it's a really valid thing for them to be wanting to do, but is to vent and feel quite overwhelmed with the behaviour that comes with ADHD.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to seek that information and that help. And I guess some parents go into that with that. It's, there's no solution. I've tried everything. I don't know where to next. And it is, and when you're at that point, which I think all us parents that are in this situation have been at once or twice or many more times, it's, you feel lost. You feel lost in the system because there's not really anywhere you can turn to.
Yeah.
And other parents are just going to probably tell you what you already know or you've already tried. So it can be really tough. And it would be nice if there was something a little bit more in terms of support and support groups and things like that. But I think it is one of those things that is part of the journey.
Yeah. So, there's the Christchurch ADHD neurodiversity thing. Sometimes they have clinicians coming along periodically and doing some bits with it. I've done the odd thing with them. ADHD NZ, they've got some not bad resources online, but it doesn't help you in the day-to-day sort of.
No, and I think it does stem down to the, of course we didn't necessarily have the behavioural stuff with Lydia, but with our boys it's, some of the behavioural stuff, that's the overwhelming bit, particularly when they're having problems at school and there's, and they're being stood down or suspended, and the school treat it as a behavioural issue when actually there's underlying stuff with ADHD. So it can be really difficult for parents to know how to advocate for their child, knowing that it's this disorder that's creating these behaviours, and the schools, tends to be, well, these behaviours are hurting other children, so this is the line we've got to take. So you can see the double bind, but eventually it would be really nice if there was some advocacy around some of these kids. That might be me one day.
And the like our services aren't particularly good with long-standing issues because they have you have an episode of care and then you're kind of discharged and then it's quite hard to get back in and all those things, which isn't particularly helpful.
And the criteria for support through the Ministry of Ed, and that's it's really high. We would be kidding ourselves if we were to get any support for Olivia, because she's not a problem in class and she's not a behavioural problem. It's obviously it's a bigger bigger thing, and it's a system. And battling the public system is always going to be difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And online sort of information and stuff. I mean, has that been useful for you guys? Or?
It's really useful for me personally, and I do a lot of my own research and stuff like that, and that sort of thing. And I've been able to manage a lot of that stuff myself. I guess, there's a lot of parents that probably get bogged down with the information and not knowing, where to turn and what information is right. And I think a lot of people rely on the social media aspect of it.
Yeah.
And social media is not always going to be the right information.
What online stuff have you found most useful?
Probably when I go, attitude, ADHD, or the ADD attitude website. That's because it's all research based.
Yeah.
And that sort of thing. Definitely more aiming towards research based websites.
Yeah.
When you're going online and you're talking to other parents on social media, sometimes it can be really nice to feel validated, but some of the information, you've got to be able to look at it through the right lens and know, is this going to be, is this the right thing for me to do, and is this going to work for my child?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of parents jump into that thought process that, that's what I need to do because that's what this parent did, or particularly when you're looking at other, the debates about medication, or the debates about natural, natural things that you can try.
Yes, pretty strong views out there, aren't there?
Very strong views, even the vaccinations and all of those things,
summer's a battle for us too.
Yeah. And I think
people are getting quite suspicious of, kind of mainstream thought.
Absolutely. And I think if you can't separate yourself and go, actually I just need to do my own research, and I think a lot of parents probably don't know how to make sure that it's backed up as research and understand.
It's hard to weigh the research too.
Oh, it is.
There's so much out there.
Yeah, and I'm sure I could Google anything I liked and think that it's researched because Google's telling me it is, But I think information like this is really helpful for lots of people.